I was offered free therapy this week to get over a situation that apparently is deeply offensive and that is hurting everyone around me. So let's talk about it and the irony behind it. Why I found it incredibly interesting that a stranger would feel comfortable disclosing this and their professional opinion unsolicited. By the way, if we've never met before, hi, name is Nadia. I'm Neurospicy. I also have a data addiction. In the comments, I would love to know what thoughts and feelings does the word Neurospicy evoke in you? Because apparently I am doing immeasurable harm to my community. So let's talk about it. It's one of the things that I get the most hate about. Using the term neurospicy. I understand where the hate comes from and I understand why people feel so immensely triggered by that word. I also believe that we are able to choose our own labels for ourselves. And much like pronouns, if my pronouns is she, her, you decide not to use them, I think you're being a bit of an arsehole, but it's your choice not to use them. What is not your choice is to tell me what my pronouns should be because my lived experience is less important than a collective. And it's not because the collective isn't important. I have Aquarius stellium in the 11th house. Like, girl, I get that. It's because if one person had this experience, there are usually a lot of other people. And I've talked about it a couple of times, but long story short, in my family, my brother-in-law is severely disabled and on the most vulnerable end of the spectrum. And for a very long time, I masked my neurodivergence. I almost discounted it because it felt like a disservice to his experience to call myself neurodivergent. And I've had this conversation with many other people that are on the high functioning end, which does not mean your life is easy. It takes away from your experience. It just means it's difficult to compare an apple to an orange and say this is fruit, when on the other hand, you have a normal person that resembles the apple a little bit more. Now, intent is everything to me. If I was making content targeting people on the very vulnerable end of the neurodivergent spectrum, if I was making content for people that care for the very vulnerable end, I called them neurospicy, I would cancel myself because that is absolutely disrespectful, discounts their entire lived experience. In fact, my husband don't cancel me for this because in our family we have a sense of humor. When we talked about the term neurospicy, he was like, my brother is more neuronuclear, and I'm like, yeah. Now, a lot of us high-functioning neurodivergent people have difficulty reconciling our lived experience with the term. And I have found that the term neurospicy makes me feel comfortable with my own reality and my own lived experience. That is why I labeled that for myself. I don't call other people neurospicy unless you want to be part of the neurospicy gang. If you don't want to be that way, that's absolutely fine. I'm inherently a contrarian. I passionately believe we can agree to disagree and still all hold a valid opinion. What I really find very interesting is a therapist that works with neurodivergence reaching out to a neurodivergent creator, trying to educate her on why her lived experience isn't that important, why she should not label herself in a very specific way. I find that fascinating. Unfortunately, after messaging back and explaining why I use the term neurospicy, she sadly withdrew her offer for free therapy. So I guess you're basically stuck with me now. And I'll leave us with this. If anyone is having an adverse effect on your mental health, whether it's me, another creator, whether it's someone that you absolutely love watching, but they say something that triggers you, blocking that person is a form of self-care. You do not have to interact. Not every space is safe for everyone, but we also don't have to over-police, make every space so generic and afraid to cause any offense that it loses any opinion whatsoever. So, if you're neurospicy, if you're not neurospicy, or even if you find the term offensive but you don't find it damaging to your mental health, and you feel like I'm aware and I am able to form my own opinions and we can agree to disagree, then you're more than welcome here. I absolutely love debating. If you're a ride or die and you've made it to the end, thank you so much. I love you so, so much. And I wanted to ask you, because this is important, what is one thing that offends you beyond measure? Now, I'm South African, so I'm incredibly difficult to offend because the culture is special. But there's one thing on earth that offends me. It is the existence of olives. I don't like the texture. I don't like the taste. I don't like the look of them with their beady little eyes that look like they're gonna like kill you. I call them Satan's hemorrhoids. I find them deeply offensive. And I think that just illustrates my neurospiciness to a point.